to its customers. Honorable Executive Mayor, it is no mistake that the boards of directors are given powers to independently manage the entities on behalf of the city and provide strategic direction on behalf of the shareholder. In return, the board of directors must provide effective, transparent, and accountable governance and conduct effective oversight in the affairs of the municipal-owned entities. This is what defines our shareholder compact. Most importantly, it defines our relationship with the people of Johannesburg. Ladies and gentlemen, today marks an important day in our history. We must listen, learn, and engage. We must celebrate words such as transparency, accountability, good governance, cooperation, service delivery, and responsive governance. These words defines the purpose of today. Program Director, politics have no space today. We are exercising a democratic and fair process that promotes good governance principles. If at some point we get lost, let us turn to the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, which reminds us all that governance is about the rule of law, accountability, accessibility, transparency, predictability, inclusivity, and a focus on equity, participation, and responsiveness to people's needs. Minority delivery, monitoring delivery, and ensuring accountability should be the role of all officials, political representatives and ward councillors, residents and citizens, including non-governmental organizations, the business and private sector, and other stakeholders. Let us not forget our roles. Challenges faced by the municipal entities are real. We are aware that there are tensions that do arise as and when we manage the running of these entities. And these tensions arise especially between councillors and boards of directors, between managing developmental imperatives of councillors and the more commercial imperatives of boards, between the need for cohesion and the need of entities for entities to have autonomy. We must overcome these challenges because society has run out of patience. Society has no time for us to be squabbling, but society demands of us to deliver services, infrastructure, and ensure that we take action in as far as delivery of these services. Program Director, allow me to remind everyone what their functions are. City Power, your function is distribution of electricity and energy. Joburg Theatre, entertainment and building social cohesion. City Parks and Zoo, manage park cemeteries, open green areas, street trees, and so on. Johannesburg Development Agency, manage and facilitate development efficiency. To ensure that we build an equitable, sustainable, and resilient city. The Johannesburg Property Company, manage and develop assets for the purpose of maximizing social and commercial opportunities for the city. Johannesburg Roads and Agency, construction and maintenance of bridges, traffic signals, roads, road signage, and road markings. The Johannesburg Social Housing Company manages social and institutional housing developments and management of rental accommodation for low-income earners. Metrobus provide public transport that is efficient and effective and affordable to all commuters. Pick it up, keep the city clean, and preserving an attractive and hygienic environment for the residents of Johannesburg, including the visitors of Johannesburg. The Metropolitan Trading Company provide broadband network throughout the city of Johannesburg, thus ensuring connectivity for the people of Johannesburg. The Johannesburg Tourism Company is to provide and promote tourism growth in the city of Johannesburg. As I conclude, Program Director, it would be strange if I don't say anything about the King Code. These are important as they help to guide us through implementing developmental local government. They remind us to create an ethical culture that enables us to improve performance and increase our value system. They ensure that our institutions has adequate and effective controls in place. In most cases, this control help us to respond to all audit structures. If we apply the King Code, we remain legitimate, and our good reputation will help us to win the hearts and minds of the people we will serve. I thank you. You are therefore welcomed to this important event. Thank you.
Thank you, MMC. May I invite the City Manager, Mr. Floyd Brink, to come forward and give us a presentation.
Is your pointer next back, please? Okay.
Thank you very much, Program Director, Executive Mayor, Speaker in absentia, all our MMCs here present today, members from the Provincial Legislature, councillors, our Chief Whip, Chair of Chairs, Pastor Daniels, board members, our MDs, CEOs, executive management, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the opportunity. You'll see after MMC Finance made this presentation, you'll now see where's the administrator, and I'm the one that will now use the projector to present. You can go straight to the next slide. Ladies and gentlemen, when you look at this particular slide, this is the slide where we say this is Joburg, how it looks today. You'll see that we are using some references there in terms of the percentages that we have. As board members, as MDs and CEOs and the executive of those particular entities, you now need to provide us with the solutions in order for us to change this particular picture here. You'll see it focuses on basic services, it looks at economics, as well as the social part. I would want us to look at, if you look at the side of formal dwellings, we're sitting at 80.19%, water provision 99.56%. The question will be, how do we get it through to 100%? Electricity at 70.83%, how do we start to improve in terms of these particular percentages? If you look at unemployment, which is rife at this particular point, our people out there are waiting on us to create those particular jobs. So the question will be, as the boards, how will you keep your executive and your management teams accountable and responsible to start to change this particular picture. If you look at the poverty rate, there's a direct relationship between unemployment rate and that of the poverty rate, whereas you will start to have a quality of life which will then have an inverse relationship with that of poverty and unemployment. This is what we need to look at. Human Development Index, how do we start to change the lives of our people? Here you are focusing on issues of health, knowledge, and standard of living. It's all about issues relating to life and life expectancy. How do we start to change those particular pictures? The next one is really our strategic direction. You would know that we do have our GDS 2040, which is really our Bible in terms of our strategic documents on where we would want to take the city and its entities. And that is basically where we get our mandate from in terms of growing the city. In the middle, you'll see that there's 11 proposed mayoral priorities. And we are saying proposed because we are still going through to our mayoral Lagotlas very soon and our other Lagotlas and Magotlas and so on. But I mean, I don't think it will move too far off from this. And as we are moving, you will be included in our processes of finalization of these particular priorities. One, good governance, issues with regard to financial sustainability. You would know that when you look at the finances of the city, we do have issues when it comes to cash flow with what we do have in our bank as we sit here. The question will become once more, what is it that we're going to do different to start to have different results and start to have a turnaround in terms of what we look at? Energy mix, sustainable service delivery, infrastructure development. You can go through the others, but what will be important is issues of job creation and how do we ensure that we start to change and get our city up to be a smart city. If we are saying that we are the city of gold and we are the capital and so forth, what is it that we're going to do as Gauteng province and in our corner as the city of Joburg to start to set the tone and to set the bar in terms of becoming a smart city? In terms of the processes for the financial year end, we expect you to hit the ground running. On the first part on the left, you'll see that we've already reviewed our SDBIP. That process is completed. It's in February. We've looked at the strategic changes with communities also by February in terms of the MFMA. We are now moving forward in terms of how to develop the reviewed IDP and the medium-term budgets. We need to table our budget, the draft IDP and budget by March 2023. You will already see that it's a tight ship that you will need to manage because today is already the 1st and we are moving in March and already there's some deadlines there. We need to concretize our focus areas and our priorities for the recommended programs and visible service delivery. That is really between now and May. How do we start to tighten that? And then one of the ongoing in the city is then all departments and entities to revise and to realign your budget submissions in line with the mandates of the GLU, Government of Local Unity, as well as those priorities that I spoke about, which we are still proposing at this stage. Once it's finalized, how do we then ensure that we align back to that? Some of the challenges that we are facing within our entities, and this you'll start to pick up from your audit reports, your management letters. One, right on top is issues with regard to financial sustainability, links to issues of your debt levels, inadequate funding, but also it can be that if you look at your financial modeling and the model within that particular entity linked to the core, these are some of the things that we would now need to focus in on. Poor governance, if you go and look at the snapshot of the AG's report, the audit report, you'll start to pick up issues with regard to governance, accountability, effective leadership, and the MMC for Finance also touched on the issue of ethical leadership. Skill shortage remains an issue, but more important is the infrastructure backlog. The question will be, what is it that we need to do to increase our revenue in order for us then to move closer to our GDS 2040, in order for us then to increase our capital investment and the budgeting within that particular space. And more importantly is issues with regard to limited public participation. In whatever it is that we do, we should always ensure that we communicate. In terms of our local government legislation, here we are just focusing on the MFMA and MSA. Mr. Mlandu Kona and his team will still indicate to you some of the other documents and prescripts that we do have and regulations that we need to look at, your SDAs and so forth, where we would need to align you to. So this is really focused and aimed at allowing proper governance and arrangements between the municipal entities and the shareholder. The COJ is obliged to ensure that the performance of our MEC is in line with the service delivery agreements, and that is what the Chair also touched on now, MMC for Finance, with regard to performance and how performance will be assessed on a continuous basis as we are moving forward. Should the ME not be performing or satisfactorily, experiences serious persistent financial problems, then as the core, we can then decide to disestablish that particular entity. If you look at the importance and the role of our entities, this is really just to indicate to you where you fit in as a board from the side of the legislature into the executive as well as that of the administration. Right on top, you'll see it's council, but right at the bottom of the chain, at that triangle, you'll see that's where the management of the entity comes. And you'll have your accounting authorities, which will then be your boards. So this is really a triangle that shows you on issues with regard to accountability and responsibility. And that is how we will then start to look at your performance. The next slide, I wouldn't want to bore you on it, is really just how your 5-year strategy goes down from IDP up to the annual report and how you have a circle in terms of your oversight report and the roles that your relevant MMCs will be playing in that particular entity. The following slide is a slide where you will start with your dipstick approach and where you'll need to get your hands in. If you see from 17 and 18, we used to have about 4 clean audits, 18, 19, 2. It has transgressed 19, 20, only unqualified audit reports. But in the 21-22 financial year, we had one entity that had a qualified audit opinion, and this is where we would now need to really focus on. But not just those that have been qualified to take them back to unqualified, but the question again will be, what controls will you ensure that we put in place through management and the structures to get those that are unqualified with findings, to reduce those particular findings so that we start to move towards a clean audit. The importance of the entities, I will not really touch on it. MMC for Finance touched on that, but for me it's the effectiveness of the boards. COJ will ensure that with its entities to manage the expectations and the reputational risk. Your MEs must be aware of the environment they operate in. You need to look at your objectives. We need to be sure in terms of the indicators that we've set out there, and how do we ensure that we manage our actual achievements with regard to that. The subcommittee, the ME boards should establish statutory subcommittees that regularly report to the boards. So you'll have your board and you'll have your subcommittees. But what is important is right at the end, is the approval from city managers necessary for the establishment of any additional committees for operational efficiencies. So you cannot go into your entity and just decide that we might need another subcommittee and you just establish it there within your corner because you are accounting authority. You will need to bring it through group governance and we start the discussion so that we get you operational based on that particular need. So we would support this as and when we move forward. How to manage these entities effectively? You need to clearly define the roles and responsibilities. There must not be any ambiguity where you fit in from an accounting officer point of view through the accounting authority and what the role of the shareholder is. And we are quite strict with regard to the role of the shareholder, the level of oversight from the mayor's office, level of oversight from the MMCs, so that we are sure in terms of the level of discipline and the roles of and responsibility of the board management, so that we just move away from that level of anarchy that might come at some particular point. But with this board, MMC and EMI, I don't think we'll get to that point. When I look at them, I can see we are all clear in terms of roles, responsibility, accountability, and so forth, and we will be working well together. It's really to embrace issues of innovation and change because we need to do things differently in order for us to start to look at different results. How do we ensure a level of sustainability and its different pillars within sustainability and invest in capacity building within the city? In closing, What we would need to look at to improve the oversight and governance in line with King 4, establish a strong governance framework. We need to foster transparency and accountability. That is through regular reporting and engagement. Promote ethical behavior, ethical leadership. Strengthen board oversight so that you can take control from the side of the board in terms of the activities and the plans that you would have agreed to with management. Align with stakeholder interest and implement effective controls. Program Director, thank you very much. I'll stop at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brink, and welcome. May I please invite AG? Did you send your presentation? Yes. Yes, for now, leave this.
Good afternoon, Honorable Honorable Executive Mayor, then Honorable Speaker in his absentia, to the respective MMCs and councillors that are joining us today. Good afternoon, as well as then the CM, Municipal Manager, as well as the respective boards, as well as the head of the different units within the city, as well as the officials from the different entities. I will be taking you through the audit outcomes for the year ended 2022. This is for the 2021-2022 financial year. Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay. Apologies, I'm just having issues with my presentation. I had shared it, just not sure in terms of the presentation. Maybe just a minute just for it to be projected. Okay, thank you. As indicated, I will be taking you through the audit outcomes for the group and the respective entities as it relates to the year ended 30 June 2022.
So you let them know when to go to Leslie because you can't change this PDF. You have to let them know.
Seems like it's working.
It's working.
Yeah. Thank you. I would just like to start with the mission and vision of the AG. As a constitutional, we exist to enable oversight through our auditing. This is the enabling oversight, accountability, as well as governance in the public sector through the audit work that we do. We aim as an institution, and the vision of our institution is to be recognized as one of the key stakeholders and as a relevant supreme audit institution in enhancing public sector accountability. I think from the Honorable MMC as well as the city manager, there has been touching on the area and issues around accountability. So as an institution as well, we exist to assist and enable that oversight, accountability, as well as the related governance. There has been references to the King Code as well as other respective legislation that are applicable to the city. From our side, when we look at that, we look at it as the accountability ecosystem. With the accountability ecosystem, we recognize that there are different role players, including, of course, all of us in here, as governed by the relevant legislation, as highlighted by the city manager, as well as other applicable laws and regulations for then the different support and oversight that needs to be done, as well as the decision-making and implementation that is expected from the officials, senior management, the accounting officer, and the respective committees, as well as the oversight that is coming then from council, the boards, as well as the different committees that are applicable. So overall, as the institution, we look at, through the audit, supporting the different oversight and the implementation that needs to happen through the insights that we obtained during the audit, and then we influence certain decisions and certain oversight processes that needs to then happen as a result of the information we obtained through the audit, as well as enforcement of some of the applicable laws and regulations. And all of this, we are looking at it as part of ensuring that there's going to be active citizenry, as well as for the benefit of the citizens within the city. As it relates to the overall outcome of the group, I think that the CM did touch on it a bit. The city has remained stagnant over the years. I think there was a reflection in terms of a period where we had a couple of clean audits. In the past 3 years, we are noting a bit of stagnation as it relates to the overall outcomes, where you are sitting mainly in the unqualified with finding space, and in there is mainly issues around compliance as well as service delivery related performance reporting. So this is the current outcome for the city as it related to the year ended 2022. This is a picture for the entities. I would like to commend the group in terms of ensuring that each and every, over the past couple of years, we do not have any outstanding audits, and the submission rates as well in terms of the financial statements does still remain on track, and it does, you do submit on time. And commend the city as well for not having any adverse as well as disclaimed audit outcomes within the group. We are seeing a trade-off between the prior year and the current year, where we are still having some of the entities within the qualified space, that is Joshko, and in the prior year we had MTC that was in the qualified space. So it would be important as part of the meeting, you do start looking at how do you start now shift and address the issues that have been highlighted to the different boards, to the different accounting officers and different CFOs and other heads that are responsible for performance and compliance related matters, in ensuring that as a group, you start moving then to the green space where you can have then clean audits or unqualified with no findings. As has been emphasized by the CM, this was done before, so it is possible. And I think over having been in the unqualified with finding space, I think the different entities would know where the problematic areas are, and as then the different oversight structures, you need to then support and just ensure then whatever plans that are being implemented, it is plans that then can assist in moving into the greener space. And this also needs to go hand in hand with your service delivery related mandates as well. This is also just a summary in terms of the outcome for then the different entities. I think as highlighted by the CM, I think I'll just highlight that there are still some areas in terms of significant internal controls where we seeing green shoots and improvement coming through, which is also testament that it is possible to improve, it is possible to move and change the situation. As indicated, the areas where we had a qualification, we are noting that there's having a regression. There are others where we had some regressions, but I think it's more related to the issues that have to do with then the compliance and the performance information related concerns that we had identified. Over the years, I think the issues on compliance with laws and regulations is indicated. I think the unqualified with findings term, I think we're all familiar with those who get to be involved in the audit process, and as discussed, is part of our audit outcomes. So for the group, the issues that still remain a concern on compliance, it is still issues that still have to do with the quality of the financial statements. We are still finding ourselves having some matters that needs to be corrected on the financial statements that are submitted, the issues on procurement and contract management, the issues on expenditure management due to the level of the irregular as well as the fruitless and wasteful at the entities, as well as the unauthorized expenditure noted at core. So those are some of the concerns that still remain. In the last year, we noted a concerning issue that was affecting most of the outcomes of the group as it related to the issue on strategic planning and performance management, where we couldn't be given the signed service delivery agreements between core or the group and the entities. So I think we did take note of the steps that have now been taken. I did also take note from the CM's presentation, the other steps that's still going to be taken for the year under review. So when we come back, I think this matter, it was a matter that was a bit of a contentious within the group. So it is an issue that just needs to be addressed. We have noted what steps were taken at the beginning of the year. These are the issues or the compliance areas that still cause the entities to remain in that unqualified with finding space. I think the issues that follow the one on the service delivery agreements is the issues on expenditure management, the issues on the credibility or the quality of your financial statements. I think in the main, we do note some of the entities that are at least going towards getting it right. We do note, for example, at Metro Bus, the only issue that seems to have impacted them on the compliance, it is the issue of the SDA, and then we do have other entities that also don't have more than 2 non-compliance matters, and we're noting what they're implementing, that at least they then eliminate or deal with those non-compliance matters that are still within the space. In terms of the performance information that relates then to the service delivery mandate of the city, we still have an issue at group level or at core where we are noting an unexpected or a direction that needs to be, or like a movement that needs to be dealt with. Over the last 3 years, we are noting that the outcome has regressed. We have moved from being unqualified to a qualification, then to an adverse opinion in the last financial year, which is then a not desirable direction. We would like then all the relevant stakeholders involved in this process to then start attending to the concerns that we've raised that have resulted in the last 3 years having to regress as it relates to your service delivery related performance. So we are having challenges in confirming and supporting the reported performance that you have over the last 3 years. So that needs to then be attended to. For the entities, we are mainly having an issue with what we refer to as a reliability issue, meaning that there are some misstatements or errors that we do pick up in the reported performance. In others, some of the errors or issues we pick up could not then be corrected, which has resulted in some of the material findings being reported in the audit reports. I think the 4 that we're highlighting, those are the main entities that did have some issues with regards to the service delivery information or performance that they had reported. In terms of from our side, I think I've highlighted the issue of the outcomes. The other issue that I wanted to touch on is, as indicated in terms of the regressions over the years, we are also noting that the overall performance is also declining when we're looking at the year-on-year overall performance of the group. I think the other issue we wanted to touch on as it relates to the service delivery that remains key on our side is just looking at the infrastructure related matters in terms of the expenditure or funding happening there as it relates to your the backlogs around the repairs and maintenance, as well as how you are funding the related repairs and maintenance. We are noting that the current funding is not in line with expected norms. As required, you need to be spending at least about 8% of your PPE expenditure there. So we are noting that it still remains below the expected percentage, and we would like your assistance in ensuring then that is then brought in line and in compliance with then the national treasury guidelines. We have looked at that also as part of the service delivery. We've looked at some of the key projects within the group, and in the group, we selected few of the entities where we wanted to look at some of the key projects. I think there are other slides where I'll just be touching on that. Okay, I think with the earlier presentation and the opening from the Honorable MMC, there was an issue around the issue of financial sustainability. Within the group, we are also noting that there are concerns around the There are concerns around the financial health of the city. We have highlighted the concerns, and the overall assessment of the city still remains as concerning. I think the key one is also from the issue of your revenue collection. So it remains important that the city does have a look at the strength and the effectiveness of your current revenue collection strategy to ensure that there is improvement in your own revenue collection targets, as well as the revenue as you use it to fund some of your other capital related needs. I think the other matter is on, as the city moves, as the Honorable MMC also touched on, the issue around the IT or information technology systems. There is a need to also just ensure, as you look at your overall strategy, that the systems that you have are aligned to the objectives and the strategy that you are implementing. So those are some of the concerns that we've noted as it relates to the information system of the city. And then with that, our call to action is for the oversight structures, just to ensure, firstly, some of the key vacancies are filled. I think city manager, we had also highlighted the city manager one earlier when we were engaging with the Honorable Mayor. And then right now, I think the ones then that needs to be filled, just to ensure that the key heads of departments and the key senior management positions, those get filled, just to ensure then you can then continue with implementing some of the plans that you have with addressing the overall audit outcome and the service delivery related matters. With the other oversight structures, we do request that there is some improvement in terms of the oversight being provided on some of the consequence management related matters and the support from council to improve in terms of the disciplinary processes that need to be implemented in terms of ensuring that you hold the executive accountable for some of the service delivery matters, as well as the some of the audit related issues that we've highlighted. These are some of the key projects that we've looked at. We've looked at key projects from Joburg Water, City Power, as well as at Core, the projects related to housing, water, electricity. There's a transport one also that we looked at DA. I think overall, with regards to the projects, what we're highlighting is that it is important to ensure that we improve in terms of our project management, as well as the performance of some of these contractors and service providers that are appointed. It is important that you actively monitor and ensure that they deliver in line with your expectations as well as the agreed upon deliverables. So we have noted concerns around the performance of the contractors, the overspending on some of their approved budgets on these projects, as well as the repairs and maintenance of some of the services that are being provided to the residents. I think the issue around some of the visits that we did on the toilets, chemical toilets, we had some issues and complaints around the service delivery there. I think I did touch on the issue of the overall performance in terms of the city, the 58% and the decline on year. We did take note of then the rigorous process that you followed in terms of your public participation in ensuring that you do identify the key areas that the citizens are concerned and need assistance on, and that how that was then incorporated in your IDP, SDBIP, business plans, and all the other processes that you undertook. But we did note that there were some key service delivery key performance indicators that were still not achieved as at the end of the year. Okay. We also looked at that in terms of the irregular expenditure, it is still continuing to increase. There is a need then to attend to those, to the high level of the irregular as well as the fruitless and wasteful expenditure, as well as then ensuring that the relevant consequence management related process are undertaken, and you can then see through the different matters that are contributing to this high level of irregular and fruitless and wasteful expenditure as it relates then to the outcomes of those related investigations that needs to be undertaken. We are also just highlighting the top 5 entities that are contributing the most. We have excluded the core and just focused on the top 5 entities. Similar with the fruitless and wasteful, we're just highlighting then the movement as well as then the top 5 contributors, and just requesting that then the different oversight structures that are tasked with then looking closely and overseeing these matters, that they do stay very close to it and ensure that the level starts to reduce and the related consequence management processes are undertaken. As part of the financial year, we also implemented our expanded powers and mandate as it relates to the material irregularities. We expanded to more entities in the current financial year. From the outcome, we have not identified any material irregularity at the entities. All the 4 material irregularities that have been identified relate to core. 3 were from the prior years. In the current year, we only identified 1 as it relates then to the material irregularities. And most of them do relate to instances where we're noting that there are services that are being paid for without having received the relevant benefit as the city. As part of then the call to action from our side, we are requesting Honorable Mayor and CM that there is improvement in the financial and performance management and reporting of key service delivery departments, just to ensure that the citizens on the ground for the city, they do get the benefits that you would have promised them. And we also urge that all the accounting role players to play their designated roles as part of the accountability ecosystem, as we've emphasized, as well as for the accounting officer to ensure, to promote an effective monitoring and accountability culture that will ensure senior management and consistently in implementing the basics as it relates to the financial and performance information, and to attend to any key audit issues that have stagnated over the years. Lastly, the council leadership to intensify its role and of the overall committees in strengthening governance and accountability within the city. And all of this is to ensure that the citizens of the city do benefit and do get the services that have been promised to them. Overall, we just want to ensure that this will assist in promoting accountability at a high level in order to strengthen the city to better service its citizens. These are some of the council support as well as interventions that we are highlighting that they are required. I think some of them I have touched on earlier on, so I will not want to repeat that, Honorable Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, H. Sure. Thank you very much. The City of Johannesburg Metropolitan Council, through its delegation of authority mechanism, has delegated a number of responsibilities, particularly the shareholder responsibility, to the executive mayor. And one of the functions of the executive mayor is to convene an annual general meeting of the city-owned entities in accordance with the Companies Act and Systems Act where applicable. Therefore, I would like to take this opportunity to invite the first citizen of the City of Johannesburg, the executive mayor, to come forward and give us a keynote address.
Dumelang, thank you, Program Director. Pastor Daniels, MMCs, leaders of political parties, City Manager, the AG, councillors present here, members of the EMT, Board of Directors, Company Secretary, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Dumelang once more, Sanbonani, MMC Morero, Giabona, Botsore iPad. So I was afraid we might have a load shedding and I might not see my iPad. So it is an honor to be here today at the 22nd Annual General Meeting of our municipal entities. I am grateful for the opportunity to share with you the challenges we face in the City of Johannesburg and the role that municipal entities plays in addressing our challenges. Johannesburg is a city of immense potential. It is a hub of innovation and creativity, a city of diverse culture and tradition, and economic powerhouse that drives growth and development in the region, which is Gauteng. However, we cannot ignore the challenges that we face. Johannesburg, like many other cities, must deal with a range of complex issues, including poverty, inequality, unemployment, crime, and environmental degradation. The scale and the complexity of these challenges requires us to work collaboratively and creatively. We must harness the strength and resources of all stakeholders, including government, business, civil society, and residents, to create that is equitable, sustainable, and prosperous for all. Program Director, as you may be aware, that the Government of Local Unity took office from the 27th of January 2023. This new administration is facing significant challenges in stabilizing our city, including addressing the financial and administrative deficiencies that have long plagued the city of Johannesburg. It is essential that we all support this new administration in its effort to stabilize our city government and to deliver much-needed services to our residents. We must work together to address the critical issues that are currently affecting our city, including issues related to service delivery, housing, infrastructure. I get it. I don't want to use potholes. so we must say infrastructure. It's levels. And public safety. This will require us to make difficult decisions, but I am confident that we can rise to this challenge and work collaboratively to build a better future for our city. In the face of these challenges, it is important now more than ever before to recognize the critical role that our municipal entities play in essential services to our residents. Entities are frontline service delivery agents, and their work is critical, ensuring that our residents have access to basic services like water, sanitation, waste management, and electricity, amongst the others. As we work to stabilize our city, government, and address challenges we face, we must continue to support our entities and work collaboratively to ensure that they have the resource and support they need to deliver essential services to our residents. To achieve success, we need to focus on strategic interventions that can make a meaningful impact on our city's future. We must focus on investing in long-term, high-impact projects that will address the root cause of the challenges that we face. We must also work to embed this strategic intervention into everyday planning to ensure that we are maximizing opportunities and addressing critical issues in a timely manner. We must commit ourselves to the ongoing work of improving our city, government, building strong and effective partnerships with our entities, and delivering essential services to the residents. We must recognize that entities play a crucial role in providing a resilient, livable, and sustainable urban environment that support a low-carbon economy. As we strive to achieve outcome 2 of the Joburg 2040 Growth and Development Strategy, it is imperative that we invest in the capacity of these entities to ensure they have the resources, tools, expertise to deliver smart infrastructure and support our goal of becoming a low-carbon economy. Through effective oversight, embracing innovation and technology, and prioritizing financial sustainability, we can empower our entities to contribute significantly to our outcome 2 of the GDS, create a more sustainable and livable city for all residents. Let me reiterate that our municipal entities play a critical role in service delivery, providing essential services to the residents and business in our society. Entities have the flexibility and expertise to deliver services efficiently and effectively, and they are most potent agent in our effort to build a city that is responsive to the needs of our people. To ensure that entities can fulfill their role effectively, we need to create an enabling environment but supports their work. This requires a clear policy framework that defines the role of entities and providing guidance on their operations. It also requires adequate resources, including funding, skilled staffs, and appropriate technology to enable entities to deliver services efficiently and effectively on a continuous basis. In addition, we need to build strong partnerships between entities and other stakeholders in the city, collaboration between government, business, civil society, and residents. It is essential to ensure that entities are aligned with the broader goals of the city and that their work contribute to the overall well-being of our communities. Hey, Kiabona, it's important to have an iPad. MMC. To achieve success, we need to focus on a number of key priorities. As we face the challenges of our beloved city, it is imperative that we take bold steps toward progress and transformation. We cannot sit idly by and hope for change to come. We must act with urgency and purpose. As the city manager has said in his presentation, we must strengthen the capacity of our entities, investing in the skills and capacity of our staff to ensure that they have the resources and the tools needed to deliver services efficiently and effectively. We cannot afford to let skills gap hold us back from achieving our goals. To ensure effective oversight, we must establish clear system of accountability so that our entities operate in accordance with the best practice and deliver high-quality services that are responsive to the needs of our residents, our citizens. They deserve nothing less. Innovation and technology must be embraced to enhance efficiency and effectiveness of service delivery. We must be unafraid or unapologetic to try new things and embrace change, because after all, the only constant thing in life is change. Financial sustainability, it is crucial to the success of our entities and we must prioritize it. We cannot afford to waste resources or let inefficiencies undermine service delivery of services to our residents. We must be responsible stewards of public trust and funds. In conclusion, Program Director, I want to reiterate the importance of entities in our effort to build a city that is equitable, sustainable, and livable for all. We need to work together to create an enabling environment that supports their work and enables them to deliver services efficiently. By doing so, we can create a world-class African city that is responsive to the needs of the people. Let us work together as a team to overcome challenges we faced and to deliver services and support that our residents need and deserve. May we emerge from this AGM with a renewed strength and zeal to serve the people of Johannesburg without any motive to self-enrich. Thank you so much. Thank you, Program Director.
Thank you. The first citizen of this city has spoken, the shareholder rep. Thank you very much. We are now moving to the second part of the business of the day, and that is the presentation of the special resolutions. That will be done by Ms. Samantha Patha.
Good afternoon, Executive Mayor, MMCs, City Manager, Pastor Daniel, Boards of Directors, City Officials, Program Director, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be reading out the special resolutions for today. We, the City of Johannesburg Metropolitan Municipality, as sole shareholder of the City of Johannesburg municipal entities, hereinafter referred to as companies, entitled to attend and vote at an annual general meeting of the companies duly represented by the undersigned, who is the City Manager, have at the 22nd annual general meeting of the shareholder of the companies held at Roodepoort Theatre, 100 Christian de Wet Road, Florida Park, Roodepoort, pass the ordinary and special resolutions as set out below. Ordinary resolutions, waiving of minimum notice of the meeting. Ordinary resolution number 1, resolve that the minimum notice for the calling of the annual general meeting of 1 March 2023, as required by the Companies Act number 71 of 2008, and in terms of the Memorandum of Incorporation, be and is hereby waived. Approval of the minutes of the AGM held on 15 Feb 2022 for Joburg Water, City Power, Pick It Up, Metrobus, Joburg Property Company, Metropolitan Trading Company, Joburg Market, Joburg City Parks and Zoo, Joburg City Theatres, Joburg Development Agency, and Joburg Roads Agency, and the Tourism Company. So ordinary resolution number 2, resolve that the minutes of the annual general meeting of 15 Feb 2022 be and are hereby noted and approved. Ordinary resolution number 3, acceptance of the 2021-22 annual financial statements, as well as the auditor's report, the director's report, and the audit committee's report. Resolve that the audited annual financial statements of Joburg Water, City Power, Pick It Up, Metrobus, Joburg Property Company, Metropolitan Trading Company, Joburg Market, Joburg City Parks and Zoo, Joburg City Theatres, Johannesburg Social and Housing Company, Joburg Tourism Company, Joburg Development Agency, and the Roads Agency for the year ending 30 June 2022, including the Director's report, the report of the auditors, and the report of the audit committee thereon, be and are hereby received and accepted subject to Section 129 of the Local Government Municipal Finance Management Act. Acceptance of the company's Social and Ethics Committee report in accordance with Regulation 43, subsection 5C of the Companies Act of 2008. Ordinary resolution number 4, resolve that the Social and Ethics Committee's reports for the year ending 30 June 2022 be and is hereby accepted and received. Waiving of minimum notice of the retirement of directors. Ordinary resolution number 5, resolve that the minimum notice for the retirement of directors in terms of Section 71, subsection 2 of the Companies Act, as required by the Companies Act and in terms of the Memorandum of Incorporation, be and is hereby waived. Remuneration of directors and independent audit committee members. Ordinary resolution number 6, resolve that the remuneration of the directors and the independent audit committee members of the companies for the year ending 30 June 2022, in accordance with the City of Johannesburg Metropolitan Municipality's policy on the remuneration of directors, be and is hereby noted and accepted. Special resolution number 1, resolve that the remuneration of non-executive directors, ISC members of the companies for the year ending 30 June 2022 and June 2023 be paid in accordance with the City of Johannesburg Group policy on the shareholder governance of boards of directors of 2021, or any amendment to the remuneration of non-executive directors or independent audit committee members by way of resolution of the shareholder. Special resolution 2, resolve that the remuneration of the executive directors of the companies for the years ending 30 June 2022 and 30 June 2023 be paid subject to the upper limits of remuneration as determined by the City of Johannesburg Municipality in terms of Section 89 of the Local Government Municipal Finance Management Act. Ordinary Resolution number 7, reappointment of external auditors for the 2022-2023 financial year. Resolved that the Auditor General be and is hereby reappointed as the auditor of the companies for the financial year ending 30 June 2023. Ordinary Resolution number 8, remuneration of external directors for the 2022-2023 financial year. Resolved that the Board of Directors of the company be and is hereby authorized to approve the auditing fees payable to the Auditor General for the year ending 30 June 2023. Finally, delegation of authority, Ordinary Resolution number 9, resolved that the Board of Directors of the company be and is hereby authorized to sign all such documents and do all such things as are necessary or requisite so as to effect and implement the special resolutions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Semi. We are now moving to portfolios. This is how we are going to do it. We are not going to receive any presentations from MMCs or from chairpersons of the board. So I'm going to invite MMC Mnisi, who is responsible for economic development, to come on stage and sit next to MMC Murero, and then invite the JPC Company Secretary, Ms. Khonze Dlamini, to come and read the resolutions that relates to JPC. As the Company Secretary is reading the resolutions, may the newly appointed board members and the IAC's Independent Audit Committee members come on stage so that we can take a photo with the Executive Mayor and the MMC responsible for this portfolio. Thank you.
Thank you, Program Director, the Executive Mayor, the MMC of Economic Development, all members of the Mayoral Committee, and board members of all entities, and the company secretaries. Thank you. I'm here to read the resolutions of the Joburg Property Company relating to elections, retirement, and resignations where there is any, as required by the Companies Act 71 of 2008. The retirement of the non-executive directors are hereby as follows. The names are Brenda Madumise, Bongani Mgoza, Slingsmi Mda, Ms. Kanyima Baso, Rory Galoka, Tilivali Ramawa, Witumelo Mtimkulu, and Barry Snitch. These are all the non-executive directors that has been retired today as at 1 March 2023. I now proceed now to the appointment of the chairperson of the Joburg Property Company. The chairperson of the Joburg Property Company, effective today, 1 March 2023, is Mr. Enos Foster Sithole, appointed hereby and confirmed as chairperson of the board until the next AGM or the special general meeting. I now move on to the next resolution relating to the executive directors. Executive directors, Ms. Helen Boertes, who is the current Chief Executive Officer of JPC, is hereby and confirmed and so by reappointed as the Executive Director of the company. And Mr. Sipho Mzobe, who's the current Acting Chief Financial Officer, is also the Executive Director of the company. I will now proceed to the newly appointed non-executive directors of the Joburg Property Company. They are hereby appointed and confirmed as follows until the next AGM or the special general meeting that may be held, whichever occurs. Mr. Sabelo Mtolo and Ms. Betty Cott Defo, Mr. Enos Foster Sitole, Advocate Tepang Tatelo, Ntalo Mabunza, Ms. Ellen Rakodi, Ntombigayise Ntini, Fulutelo Ratsi Kompa, I hope I'm correcting the names, I'm spelling the names correct. Ratsi Kompa, Dr. Machinda Sylvia Sateke, Londiwe Mthembu, and last but not least, with regard to the non-executive directors, is Dalu Mpofu.
Ask them to come on stage, please.
Okay. All the members that I've read, the non-executive directors, I've read your names. Pardon me if I've maybe correctly pronounced your names, but your names have been called. If you can kindly please come on stage. I will now proceed to the independent audit committee members. The following audit committee member of the Joburg Property Company. The names are Mr. Tilizi Ndaza, Ms. Konoswang Asare Bediako, and Mr. Leon Langalibalele. All these members that I've just read has been retired effective today, 1 March 2023. The newly appointed, the last resolution that I will read, the newly appointed independent audit committee members of the Joburg Property Company. It will be Mr. Kola Lingani, Mr. Tabang Shilwani, Ms. Rachel Makwela, and lastly, Mr. Yongama Pamela. Yongama Pamela, yes. Thank you very much. You can please proceed to come through if you are here. The independent audit committee members. The last resolution that I will read is to confirm that the non-executive directors of the Joburg Property Company will convene a special board meeting to appoint the audit committee members as a committee. Thank you.
Also ask the executive directors to come on stage if they are here.
I see I've got independent audit committee members and non-executive directors, i.e. the CEO of JPC and the acting CFO of JPC. Those are the two executive directors. Please come through for the pictures. Thank you.
Camera. It's fine. No, when I was there.
Oh, honestly. James? Yeah. I think that's fine, eh? I'm done. I don't think they're here. I can leave now, no? I can go sit
Cameraman.
down.
No, don't. You'll sit here. Can I please have a cameraman?
How?
Enoch.
Oh, Helen said
Your
we'll be here.
Where is Helen?
She said she'll be here. I
I can
don't know.
take my phone, doesn't matter. I can use my phone.
Let's call her, please. Just dial her, I'll speak to her.
No, it doesn't matter. You can call her here. You can call her on stage. Umzobe ke? Where is he?
Remember, they were on suspension and I didn't send invitations to people.
Can we use that for? Yeah.
Yeah, let's take it. And then?
Thanks.
Is it fine?
Yeah, it's fine. Thank you very much.
So, Dalim Bofo?
He's not here.
But he's all right, thanks. Was I fine? I wasn't nervous.
Yes, no. We are now moving to Joburg Market, cost sec.
Speaker of Council, Executive Mayor, City Manager, MMCs, Councillors, Chairpersons of Boards, Members of Boards of Directors, Independent Audit Committee members, CEOs and MDs, Company Secretaries, Program Director, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'll be reading the ordinary resolutions for the Joburg Market, SOC Limited. It was resolved on the 22nd Annual General Meeting of the City of Johannesburg and its entities, resignation, retirement, re-election of directors. Resolution 1. Resolved that the following be and are hereby retired as non-executive directors of the company: Mr. Togozani Twala, Mr. Jan Moka, Dr. Tembitaba, Dr. Nandipa Madiba, Ms. Zakiti Mtembu, Ms. Sanalisiwe Musi, Mr. Sifiso Tele, and Mr. Vumango. Resolution 2. Resolved that the following directors be and are hereby appointed to form a board of directors in terms of Section 66 of the Companies Act 71/2008, to hold office for a period of 1 year or until the next annual general meeting, whichever occurs first, and to perform the duties and responsibilities stipulated in the Companies Act, Municipal Finance Management Act, Municipal Systems Act, and in King 4. Mr. Zamak Kalisa, Ms. Vuyiswa Gumede, Mr. Odile Balochang, Mr. Timothy Ramabulana, Mr. Godfrey Tutetsi, Ms. Nomveliso Mpongo, Ms. Amelia Vilkalisi, Mr. Fuzila Vondo, Ms. Nkolo Sikami, Ms. Mantombi Nkosi, Mr. Musa Shibambu. Resolved that Mr. Zamak Talisa be and is hereby appointed as the chairperson of the Board of Directors until the 23-24 AGM or until the next general meeting of the company, whichever occurs first. Resolution 4. Resolved that Ms. Leanne Williams, the Chief Executive Officer, be and is hereby reappointed as the Executive Director of the company. Resolution 5. Resolved that Mr. Kosinati Baloy, the Chief Financial Officer, be and is hereby appointed as an Executive Director of the company. Elections, re-elections, resignations, and retirements of independent audit committee members. Resolution 6 resolves that the following be and are hereby retired as ISC members of the company: Mr. Aubrey Mokwena, Mr. Raymond Makachula, Ms. Zanele Ngwepe. Resolution 7 resolved that the following be and are hereby appointed as ISC members of the company until the next AGM until the next AGM of the company, pursuant to Section 166(5) of the Local Government Municipal Finance Management Act 2003. Mr. Grant San, Mr. Israel Karedi, Dr. Tumi Maloba, Mr. Tulani Ngobo. Resolution 8 resolved that an audit committee comprising of independent non-executive directors and independent audit committee members be and is hereby appointed in terms of Section 166 of the Local Government Municipal Finance Management Act 56 of 2003 and Section 94(2) of the Companies Act 71 of 2008, to hold office until the next annual general meeting and to perform duties and responsibilities stipulated in the Local Government Municipal Finance Management Act, the Companies Act, and King 4, as well as other such duties and responsibilities as may from time to time be delegated to it by the board. Thank you. All members, all newly appointed members, will you please come forward for a picture, as well as the acting CEO and the CFO.
Which ones?
I don't know which one.
Okay, I will read them again. I will only read the appointed members. Mr. Timothy Rabulana, Mr. Godfrey Tsotetsi, Mr. Nomveliso, Pongo, Amelia, Vilakazi, Fuzile, Vondo, Nokolo, Sikam, Mamtombi, Nkosi, Musa, Shibambo. No, where's the other one?
And then there's two, yeah.
Okay. Zamaxalisa Vuyiswa Gumede.
That's it.
And then the ISs. ISs is Mr. Grandson, Mr. Israel Karati, Dr. Tomi Maloba, Mr. Tulani Ngobo. That's it. Thank you. Thanks, ma'am. That's fine. That's fine. Thank you. We are now moving to MTC. Cossack.
Thank you. Greetings, everyone. I'm Shanta Balakrishna, the Company Secretary of MTC. I'll go straight into the resolutions. Ordinary Resolution 1, it is resolved that the following directors are retired as non-executive directors of the company: Kanya Ndlovo, John Kaya Sikosana, Kolani Mbanga, Katsa Rodney Moloko, Yolandi Exner, Kanyisila Marau, Velani Valentine Mboweni, and Kubani Mangotchwa. Ordinary Resolution 2, the resolution is that the resignation of Kabelo Makwana as the chairperson and a non-executive director of the company, effective from 18 April 2022, be noted and confirmed. Ordinary Resolution 3, William Itumeleng Matumela is hereby appointed as the chairperson of the board. Ordinary Resolution 4, resolved that the following directors are hereby appointed to form a board of directors. It's Nsebi Mashinini, Nseba Galewe, Atambili Welcome Stenger, Happy Boy Rapitso Malobai, and Sivasiwe Kwebani, Lita Mbokoto, Nzikaskaya Ndlovo, Tulani Ngobo, Kumani Shimomolo, Sandy Kolapan, and then you have the executive directors, which is Teddy Maropa, Chief Executive Officer, Rajan Chetty, Chief Financial Officer. Then on ordinary resolution 5, it is resolved that the following are hereby retired as independent audit committee members of the company: Unita Nokwaka Horifant, Tobeka Njuzela, Doris Teresia Dondur. Ordinary resolution 6, that the following directors are hereby appointed as the independent audit committee members of the company: Julius Tanyane Maputla, Sishle Joel Ngubani, Kevin Naya, and Laiseka Chiwani. Ordinary resolution 7, it is resolved that an audit committee comprising of the independent non-executive directors and independent audit committee members be and is hereby appointed in terms of the applicable legal prescripts for a period of 3 years, renewable annually at the discretion of the shareholder or until the next AGM or special general meeting of the shareholders. So then it's ordinary resolution number 8. It is resolved that the board of directors appoints a chairperson of the audit committee and any additional members of the audit committee at an ordinary/special board meeting of the company following the annual general meeting. Those are the resolutions of MTC. Thank you.
Can I help you? Just you read it in case.
Okay.
Show me the names of the newly appointed. Please come forward on stage. Nceba Mashinini, Nceba Galiwe, Atembile Welcome Stenge, Happy Boy Mulobe, Sivuisile Kweban, Lita Mbokoto, Mzikayise Ndlovu, Tulani Ngcobo, Kumani Chimomolo, Sandy Kolopen. That's all.
Yeah, we call this two as well.
Teddy Muropa, Rajan Chetty.
And the IEC members? IEC members, this,
Julius Maputla, Sihle Ngubane, Kevin Ne, Hlaiseka Chiwane.
thank you, Sylvia.
Yes, yes, please. Yeah, it's okay. Okay, sure.
We are now moving to tourism.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone, and protocol observed. I'm going to read the resolutions for Johannesburg Tourism Company. Ordinary resolution, resignation and retirement of directors. It was resolved that the retirement of the following non-executive directors be and is hereby noted, accepted and confirmed. Mr. Terry Zelani, Mr. Sakumzi Makobela, Ms. Maraga Ditaba, Ms. Bulelo Konyana, Dr. Charlotte Naidu. Ordinary resolution number 2, election and re-election of directors. It was resolved that Ms. Gugu Bridget Sitole be and is hereby appointed as a chairperson of the board to hold office until the next AGM or special general meeting, subject to the maximum renewable terms as set out in the City of Joburg Group Shareholder Policy on Governance, Group Advisory Committees, Municipal Entities, Board of Directors, and Independent Audit Committees. Resolution number 2 resolved that the following directors have been reappointed and appointed in terms of Section 66 of the Companies Act to hold office until the next AGM or special general meeting, subject to the maximum renewable term set out in the City of Johannesburg Group Shareholder. Number 1, Ms. Gugu Bridget Sitole, Katleho Bukhatsu, Dikeledi Mabusela, Palisa Ramafiki, Josiah Mpefo, Sibusiso Mzolo, Riranzo Rimombo, Komutso Pea, sorry about that, Bernard Mzobe, Kumalo, and Signi Munaisi. It was resolved that Ms. Tato Davidson is hereby retained as the acting Chief Executive Officer, and Mr. Feroz Khan is hereby retained as the acting Chief Financial Officer. But it should be noted that Ms. Tato Davidson is currently on maternity leave, and Mr. Feroz Khan is currently acting as the Chief Executive Officer. Election, re-election, resignation, and retirement of independent audit committees. Ordinary resolution. It was resolved that the following member be retired as an independent audit committee member is hereby noted, accepted, and confirmed to Mr. Ola Lingani. It was resolved that the following members be retained and appointed as independent audit committee members. Chuzungani Malumula, Leslie Kwapeng, Nteteleko Mbensen. It was resolved that the Board of Directors appoints a chairperson of the audit committee and any additional members to the audit committee at the ordinary board meeting of the company following the annual general meeting. Thank you very much. Will all the newly appointed board members please come on stage?
center. Okay, sure.
Thank you. We are done with economic development portfolio. May we now break for 30 minutes? It's lunchtime. Then we shall continue with other portfolios.